So one of the benefits of having native Spanish-speaking friends that is unmatched, one of the unmatched benefits is being able to use them as a resource for understanding the meaning of different words. The reason why I say this is because if you're learning Spanish, any language, but you guys know the context of this channel, if you're learning Spanish on your own, many times you can look up the definition of a word and the literal definition of a word will be accurate, but it will be limited. It will be limited because even though words have specific definitions, they're often used in contexts that are completely different from even the differing definitions that you get when you look up a word. So again, you can look up a word, you find the definition, but then you're confused because you hear that word being used in a different context. And I'm not even referring to slang here, guys. Okay? And so let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about here, even in the English language. Guys, if I say he's sharp, like he's very sharp, depending on my tone of voice, depending on the context, depending on what I'm talking about, the word sharp, I'll actually put the literal definitions of the word sharp on the screen if I remember to do so, but in English, of course. But sharp literally means something that's like pointy, that has an end that could cut you easily, or like that's filed very well. Sharp also, if I'm talking about a person though, so literally guys, literally I could be saying like, oh yeah, he's sharp, like if I'm talking about some kind of character in a show that has prickly parts to it. He's sharp also could mean that that person is well dressed, like he's sharp, like he's nice. He's sharp could also mean, oh, he's very smart, like he's very cunning, he's very smart. Okay, let me give you another example. If someone says he's clean, let's think about, guys, I'm getting over a cold, so if I keep sniffling, my apologies. But if someone describes someone as clean, or someone or a woman, if she's described as clean, I'll just stick with he as an example here. I'll give you again, if I say he's clean, like he's clean, I could literally be saying like, yeah, he's clean physically. He washed himself up, so he's clean now. I could also be talking about if I'm a police officer and I'm over a radio, I could be saying, yeah, he's clean, meaning the person doesn't have a criminal record. That's one thing it could mean. However, it could also mean that the person doesn't have drugs or contraband on them. So in that context, it means that if I say, oh, he's clean, like he's clean, like he's clean, I could be saying his outfit is nice. His outfit is well put together. If I'm saying he's clean, I could also be referring to his haircut, like somebody that got a fresh haircut. I could say, oh yeah, he's clean. Like I'm referring to his haircut. And so there's a lot of different uses for that simple word clean. And I bet if you're a native Spanish speaker learning English, if you just look up the word clean in a dictionary, you're not going to get all of those definitions. There's no way you can get that from reading a book. You'd have to text your friend Mike in the United States if you're learning Spanish like if you're learning English like one of my friends Andres in Chile. He's not going to be able to learn that if a police officer says like, yeah, he's clean, or if I say, oh yeah, you're clean, like he's clean, that he's not going to understand the nuances there because the literal definition, even if he has all of the dictionaries in the world, if he has 15 different dictionary apps or physical dictionaries, he's not going to get that. And so sin más preámbulo, en vez de ramble por todo el video, instead of rambling for all of the video, I want to, in this video, explain to you some of the common, guys, my goodness, some of the common words, and some of these are phrases, but words or phrases where if you look them up, their literal definition will not make sense. Their literal definitions are not going to make sense. But I want you to understand what they actually mean in context in Spanish. And I want you to know that this video is not talking about slang. I'm not going to dive into slang here. Maybe a few are slang, but they're spread throughout the language so much in all different countries that it's not like, oh, well, that's just slang. I don't need to know that. These are things that there's no way you can really look them up per se. You could, I guess, but it's going to be hard for you to look them up to find out their true meaning, because if you Google their true meaning or look in a dictionary in Spanish for their true meaning, it's not going to give you the complete context there. So I have a lot of things on my list to go over, so I'm not going to go super in depth with each of these. I think I maybe have 20 or 30 words here. But the first one that I want to go over is the word como. If you know or have studied Spanish for a little bit, you know that if you look up the word como, Como translates to English as how. Como, como se puede llegar a la capital? ¿Cómo se puede llegar a la capital? How can you get to the capital? Como is taught to mean how. Guys, como, even though in most dictionaries won't say this, I don't know, I don't use a lot of dictionaries outside of the actual Spanish dictionary, but either way, como also means what. If you've seen any of my conversation videos, if I don't understand what someone said or if someone says something kind of weird, I'll say, como? What I'm literally saying, if you translate that, is how, but what I'm communicating actually in Spanish is what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what? Como? Como? So when you learn in these traditional Spanish texts and in these dictionaries, when you learn that the translation for como, if you go to Google Translate right now and put in como in Spanish, it's going to show up as how. Yeah, that's true. But como also means what. Another thing, we're always taught that to ask for someone's name, you say, ¿Cómo te llamas? Or ¿Cómo se llama? Which literally is, how do you call yourself? Okay? Or how are you called? But we were also taught to say, ¿Cuál es tu nombre? ¿Cuál es tu nombre? Which is like, which is your name? Which again translates to what is your name? You guys need to learn that cuál and que are kind of like, kind of the same in English, in Spanish a little bit. But either way, what you'll hear in the real streets of the Spanish world, sounds weird, but you'll hear people say, ¿Cómo es tu nombre? ¿Cómo es tu nombre? Which literally would translate to how is your name? But again, that goes back to my point that como, although translated often as how, also or in many contexts, actually is what. ¿Cómo es tu nombre? I hear that so much in Latin America when I talk to people, and they're like, ¿Cuál es tu país? O sea, ¿de dónde eres? And then I tell them where I'm from, and they say, ¿Cómo es tu nombre? ¿Cómo es tu nombre? So como, how technically, but it also means what. The next one, I thought initially that this was Colombian only, and I would say it's primarily Colombian, but it's something that I've heard other Spanish speakers say as well, and it is de pronto. So if you look up in a translator app or if you look up on a dictionary what de pronto means, it's going to be all of a sudden. And that's true. Like I can say, sí, y de pronto empecé a llorar. Y de pronto empecé a llorar. And like all of a sudden I started to cry for some reason. Por alguna razón, de pronto empecé a llorar. All of a sudden I started to cry. But de pronto in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries also means maybe. Here's a perfect example of this. If someone asks you like, ¿a cuál país te gustaría visitar este año? ¿A cuál país te gustaría visitar este año? What country would you like to visit this year? A lot of people, a lot of Spanish speakers will start that response. I'm sorry, guys, I'm watching out for dogs here, but they'll start off their answer to that with, de pronto, Mexico. Technically, that translates to, all of a sudden, Mexico, but that's not what. Sorry for the distractions, but yeah, that's not what they're communicating. They're communicating maybe, likely, probably. And so again, if I ask someone, tu esposo perfecto, ¿cómo sería? Your perfect husband, how would he be? Tu esposo perfecto, ¿cómo sería? Your perfect husband, how would he be? Someone could respond, pues de pronto que sea alto, que sea inteligente, que sea detallista. Again, they're starting that sentence with de pronto, which technically means all of a sudden if we go according to our apps and according to the dictionary. Once we get into the real world of Spanish, we realize like, oh, yeah, de pronto means that, but it also means other things. Just like in English, saying that someone's clean means that they're physically clean, but it also means other things. So again, in the example I gave you, tu esposo perfecto, ¿cómo sería? De pronto, well, maybe, perhaps, I don't know, maybe, perhaps. It's like a little doubtful preface series of words there that you can use to basically communicate maybe. And then I said, que sea alto, that he's tall, que sea fuerte, that he's strong, que sea inteligente, that he's smart, que sea detallista, that he be detail-oriented. You guys get it. And that's a lot of times a list of, that detallista part I always hear in videos like that where people are talking about their ideal spouses in Spanish. For some reason, they always say que sea detallista. But yeah, either way, let's go to the next one. The next one is one of my favorite words in Spanish. It's not in my top 10, but it's just so common and useful. A lot of people that make videos on YouTube have talked about this, but it is the word ya, ya, ya. Guys, look up the word ya, and what you'll find is that it means already. Fire trucks over here. What's going on? I hope that nothing's wrong with anyone, but I can never. Nothing ever happens over here. And they're fire trucks. Give me a second. So yeah, I was describing the word ya, ya, ya. Okay, very common. I'm going to use the word ya in different contexts, and I'm not even going to give you sentences. I'm just going. I might. I'll give you some sentences, and then in other instances, I'll just tell you. You'll hear a change in my tone of voice, and it'll communicate something different. Ya fuiste al mercado hoy. Ya fuiste al mercado hoy. In that sentence, excuse me. In that sentence, ya has the meaning that it has in the dictionary. Ya, like already. Ya fuiste al mercado hoy. Have you already gone to the market today? Ya has comido hoy. Have you already eaten today? Okay, so let's get that one out of the way. Check. If I'm waiting at a restaurant and someone comes and they say, ja, ja, that one is like, all right, we're ready. Come on. Yeah. Like, ja, 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 ja. Okay, so technically, if we look at our dictionary, ja means already, but we already see an instance in which it doesn't. Again, we're at a restaurant and someone says, ja, 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 ja. It means come. Okay. It can mean come. It can mean ready. Okay. Let's say I'm sitting with someone. I have a rule, guys. I don't argue with people. You can have it. Like, I'm not arguing with you. But let's just say hypothetically, I try not to. Some people have the emotional, either way. But either way, let's say I'm arguing with someone, and I say ja 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 ja, and I walk away. What am I communicating there? I'm done. Enough. Like, yeah, enough. You got it. Like, I'm done. Ja ja ja. Finish. Ja. Okay, that's another way that word is used a lot in Spanish. It's just not normally found in dictionaries. Again, if a parent is talking with their son or daughter, their little toddler, and they just keep messing with the other sibling, a parent can say, "Ja, ja." Oh, I'm screaming in this part. Ja, ja, ja le dije, ja, ja. Again, stop. Enough. I'm tired of it. Enough. Stop. Okay. So these are just a few examples. I think I wrote a couple more down. Yeah. If someone's telling me something and they're like, ¿Quieres ir? Like, you want to go? Do you want to go? ¿Quieres ir? Like, ya, 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 ya. Sí. I'm using ya, which literally means already, as like a way to say sí. Como ya, ya. Oh, you could also, there's so many, guys, so many. You could also use ja. It's like, oh, I get it, right? So somebody, like when I don't really take classes a lot, but like sometimes just to reconnect with some of my old tutors, I'll take classes with some of my old tutors for Spanish. And if I make a mistake or something, or they teach me a new word, I can be like, ja, ja, like, I get it, I get it. I'm sure there are 15 other uses of ja, but just goes to show you, if we only learn that ja means already, we're going to be confused when we're in a store and we hear a parent saying, ja, ja, Marisol, ja, which means like, stop, enough. I'm tired of it. Stop, enough. Ja, okay, enough. All right, so hopefully you guys get the point with ja. The next one I'm not going to go super in depth with because a lot of you have seen videos from a lot of creators about this one. It is the word ahora or ahorita. Guys, ahora literally means now. In Spanish, it does not mean now. In a couple of days, I have a language exchange partner from Venezuela that I have not talked with or spoken with in years. Okay, she and I just got back in contact through like just me sending her a message saying Happy New Year and Merry Christmas or whatever, and we were just like, yeah, we should probably talk for like 30 minutes just to see what's new with our lives. We helped each other learn English and Spanish years ago. I'm talking years ago. And so just to reconnect, we're planning to talk maybe tomorrow or the day after. But either way, what word am I on now? Oh, ahora. So initially we planned to talk one day, but something happened. And so she was just like, yeah, te mando un mensaje ahorita para confirmar una hora. Te mando un mensaje ahorita para confirmar una hora. I guess that could translate to I'll send you a message now to confirm a time. I understand that though as later on down the line, I'll text you to confirm a day. In a couple of days, I'll text you to confirm the day. It's an ambiguous ahorita is like an ambiguous time marker that does not mean now. It means like give me a little bit of time, give me a few days, possibly. It could be literally ahorita could be a couple of hours, a couple of days. It could be a week. For the context here, since we're trying to talk before we both go back to working a full-time schedule, I know she's going to get back to me within the next couple of days. But my point is, if you don't understand that ahora or ahorita does not mean she's going to text me right now, it means give me a little time and I'll text you at some point. It's important to learn that. And so that's the point with ahora or ahorita. They don't literally mean now or right now. Another thing that could be confusing for many of us, and I'm looking at my list, guys, it's extremely long. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just long. And so I'm going to go over these fairly quickly rather. And if you would like for me to expand on any of them, let me know. But the next one is the infamous le. Le is an indirect object pronoun, I think they call it. Either way, it's almost always used to represent him. There are exceptions where lo can be used to represent him, but often, almost 99% of the time, if we're having to use the pronoun le, it means him or her. Sorry, guys, him or her. Yeah, it means him or her for the most part. Again, I can get into the nuances, but it means him or her. However, so here the other thing, it's meant as a use for him or her, and it's usually never taught to be used for it. Again, your Spanish level has to be at a certain point to understand this point. It, we're normally taught, is lo or la, which is true. However, there are many countries in which Spanish speakers use le to describe it. So, for example, and I wrote a list of verbs that I often hear them say. Le, they replace le. They use le to mean it instead of lo. And so normally, right, in a normal context, if you're trying to tell someone, like command someone, like open it, okay? Like let's say it's something that's masculine. You would say, ábrele. Well, no, ábrelo. Yeah, I'm mixing it. You say, ábrelo. Open it. If it's a door is la puerta. And so since it's feminine, you would say, ábrela, open it. Like open the door, ábrela. Okay, but a lot of Spanish speakers in different countries just throw those rules out of the window and they change the it to le. They'll say ábrele, tómale, which means take it. Technically, take it is tómala, but they change that lo or la and they make it le. It's just something that they do. So again, if you're hearing that, you might be confused and you might be thinking that someone's saying him in that case, but they're not. They're just using le. The most infamous case of this, and again, I'm not exactly sure the etymology of this, so if I'm wrong, please excuse me. I'm just a boy from Georgia that has learned Spanish. I am no linguistic expert on the origins of different terms and phrases in Colombia. But in Colombia, those of you that are familiar with their Spanish, the infamous saying, hágale. Well, wouldn't that technically, if we want to be technical, because they're saying do it, like get it done, do it. Again, if I'm wrong, correct me. But from my understanding, it's like do it, get it done, hágale. But wouldn't that technically be hágalo, right? But they changed the lo in that case to le, hágale, do it, get it done, hágale pues, ya sabe. Okay, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but instead of rushing through these through the list, I'm just going to shorten it. So I looked at the list again, and some of those aren't necessary for you guys to know right now. If you want another video with the other ones that I had on the list, I'll do that. But the next word that it has so many meanings that are not often taught or that we don't really know is the verb quedar. We're taught that quedar means to stay, okay? And it does. We're often taught that quedar means like stay, and it's location specific. But quedar can also mean like to remain, okay? Like quedar can mean to remain. It can also mean like what's left over. Like if I say cuánto dinero me queda, I guess you could say that that means how much money stays with me, but it's like how much money am I left with? Dinero me queda? So it can mean again stay, remain. Again, I could also say something I say a lot. Bueno, me quedo callado. Me quedo callado. Like I'm gonna stay quiet. I'll maintain. I'll stay quiet. Me quedo callado. The other thing is quedar also is used to describe. Nobody teaches this, but it's also used to describe like if you try on a shirt. Like if I were to try on this jacket in a store and I'm with a friend of mine or like a partner, I could say like, how does this look? How does it look on me, right? In Spanish, how you say that is como me queda, como me queda, which literally I guess translated would be how does it stay on me? Like how does it stay on me? But that's how you communicate. How does it look on me? Like como me queda, como me queda. Me queda bien, me queda bien. Like does it look well on me? Does it look good on me? Como me queda. So quedar is another one, and I'm missing a lot of different definitions that are not taught or not found in a dictionary for quedar. That's a very common verb. That's one of the most widely used verbs I'd say in Spanish for many different things. But those are just a few that can get you by for now. Again, I don't want to go super in depth with that. But yeah, me queda bien. Me quedé sorprendido. Like I was in shock. I stayed in shock or surprised rather. So yeah, you guys get the point with that one. This next one is I'm gonna mix two words together here. And it's not necessarily a word that has multiple meanings. It's just that its use is much more versatile than its use translated to English. These words are sabroso and delicioso. Again, I know that this is something that Colombians do a lot, but it's something I've heard all Spanish speakers say. That I'm only adding that caveat though, because like if somebody from Uruguay comes in and says like, yeah, we don't really do that in Uruguay. I just want to clarify. I primarily hear Colombians do this, but I hear other people say this, especially with sabroso, right? So sabroso means tasty. Delicioso is the other word, which means, of course, delicious. Guys, would it make sense for us in English to say, oh, this day is so delicious? This day, like if it's a sunny day, like right now, it's January, it's kind of cold. It's cold out here. It's not crazy, but it's cold out here. But it's a beautiful day. Would it make sense for me to, if I said this to someone, I'd immediately be looked at like, what? Like if I said like, oh, this day is so delicious. This day is so tasty. Can't say that in English. In Spanish, you can. Este día tan hermoso, which is beautiful. Este día tan delicioso. It's weird, right? But you can say that in different contexts in Spanish. From different countries, they do use that adjective to describe day. They say, un día delicioso, sabroso. Este día sabroso, which again, tasty is sabroso, but they use that to describe a day. And that's something a lot of Spanish speakers say, more so than delicioso. Like, un día tan sabroso. They do the same thing for music, especially like salsa and all that. Like if you listen to salsa, they always say like sabroso, sabroso, which again means tasty. Let me look that up to make sure I'm not going crazy. Sabroso means tasty. If I look this up in the translator app, sabroso, sabroso, sabroso means tasty, delicious, juicy, pleasant, nice. Okay, and so I guess here they do have it translate it a little better. But still, it would be weird if your first exposure to that word sabroso, which means tasty, when you look it up, it comes up as tasty, all right? SpanishDictionary.com comes up as tasty, but then you hear somebody dancing to salsa or bachata and they say sabroso, 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 tasty, tasty, tasty. Talking about music, it's weird, but it's something that's done there. The next one I'm not going to go super in depth with. I'm just going to let you know about this so that you know it in case you like music, in case you like to try to experiment with your Spanish. You guys know the verb comer. Comer means to eat. If I change comer, sometimes you don't even have to change it. It's just the context. But just to keep it simple here, if you change comer to comerse, which makes that verb reflexive, which basically just means to eat oneself. That's how you would literally translate that. Comerse. If we directly translate that from Spanish to English, that would be to eat one's self. Equivocado. That's wrong. Está equivocado. Comerse means to have sex. So again, that the simple verb of comer, even comer, depending on the context, means to have sex. But comerse así, definitivamente, that definitely means to have sex. Again, the context is going to be important there. Like if you're reading about cannibalism, or like somebody, if you're reading about something like that, you might hear comerse used in the context that we would translate it to directly, but comerse, which means to have sex. And I'm actually going to look up right now if that even comes up in a dictionary. Comerse. No, it comes up as to eat. Yeah, it comes up as to eat, to eat, to eat, to eat, to eat. But that's what that means. After each break in talking about one of these words or phrases, I keep looking at my list, and I've shortened it down even further now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to go over with you guys, and then we'll end the video. The next one, guys, if I say the word ojo, ¿qué significa ojo? ¿Alguien me puede decir qué significa ojo? Can someone tell me, excuse me again, can someone tell me what ojo means? Guys, ojo means eye. Ojo, eye. Guys, in Spanish, if you only know that ojo means eye, you're in trouble, okay? Ojo means be careful also. I know we learned that be careful means ten cuidado, no? Someone says like, ten cuidado, or con cuidado, with care, con cuidado, ten cuidado. We're taught that means be careful. But ojo also can mean like, hey, be careful, like, ojo, ojo, ojo. I'm literally saying to you, I. But what they're saying is, careful, ojo, ojo. A lot of times you hear them say, ojo con eso. Be careful with that. Ojo con eso. So ojo can mean be careful. Ojo can mean watch it. Like somebody could be giving you a warning by saying ojo. Like if you say something disrespectful or crazy to someone, they can be like, ojo, ojo con eso, ojo. Like be careful with that. Like watch it, be careful. Ojo, which again, literally, guys, means eye. All these things you can't look up in a dictionary. Ojo, which again means eye, could also mean like watch out. Like if we're walking, right, and I'm out here at this park, right. If I see what are they called? A strange dog. What's the word? I don't know the word for a dog on the loose. But either way, if I just see a random dog, and if let's say if someone else here was with me, I can say like amigo, ojo, look out, watch out, watch out. Or like if we're walking and someone's about to step in glass, I can like hold it, like, hey, ojo, mira, ojo. Like eye, which literally means look or watch out. And so again, it means like be careful, watch out, be on the lookout, watch it, like ojo con eso. Watch it with that. Watch it. Don't talk to me like that. Watch it. Ojo. Okay, so again, you look up ojo, it's gonna show up as eye. Not I, like the pronoun, like I as in your eye that you see from. The next word, I'm down to 3 more, and I'm gonna get these last 3 done really quick so that this video's not extremely long. The next one is the word apenas. Apenas. If you don't know, apenas, literally translated, means barely. Like apenas tengo dinero para ir a comprar comida. Apenas tengo comido. Ay, qué pena, no puedo hablar español, ok. Lo que pasa es que para mí es muy difícil de inmediato cambiar de inglés al español y al revés. Para mí se me hace muy difícil. Si estuviera hablando en español todo el tiempo no tendría ningún problema. Pero intentar hablar en inglés y después en español y después en inglés a veces se me hace difícil. Tal vez cuando llegue a otra etapa de mi aprendizaje no se me hará tan difícil. Pero ahora es muy difícil para mí hacer eso, hombre. Me pega duro. Okay, but no, I was saying... apenas means barely. So I could say, apenas tengo dinero para ir a comprar comida. Entonces yo no voy a poder ir al concierto. Apenas tengo dinero para comprar comida. Entonces no voy a poder ir al concierto. I barely have money to buy food. So I will not be able to go, or I'm not going to be able to go to the concert. That's what I said there. So apenas means barely. But apenas also means, it means almost, even though it's taught as barely, it means almost, and it means I just did something. And not like, yeah, it means I just did something. So we're taught like to say, I just arrived at the house. We're taught to say, acabo de llegar a la casa. Acabo de. That combination. The verb acabar and then de is how we could say just. Okay, so we're taught planes, 1 second. So again, we're taught the structure acabar de to say just. But just like you can say acabar de llegar a la casa, which again is I just arrived at the house. To communicate the same thing, you could say apenas llegué a la casa. Apenas llegué a la casa, which means literally barely I arrived at the house. I arrived at the house barely, but it communicates in Spanish the same thing that acabo de llegar a la casa communicates, which is I just got to the house. So if you want to say I just got to the house, but you want to use apenas, which technically means barely, you could say apenas llegué a la casa. I just got to the house. So that's one way to say it, but again, that's a little nuanced too, though, because if I say apenas llegué a la casa y mi mamá ya me está pidiendo que haga cosas, that sentence would be I barely got to the house and my mom is already asking me to do things. Okay, so depending on the context, it can change, but apenas can also be used to say I just, or like, okay, just. Okay, another way apenas is used. Things are coming to me as I'm thinking. Another way apenas is used is, I forgot. I remember now. Yeah, so it could also be used to say like about to, like I'm about to. Okay, so like if someone, let's say I'm late to get to a dinner or something, and someone calls me and they're like, Mike, ¿dónde estás? I could say apenas estoy saliendo de la casa, or apenas salgo de la casa. But again, so what did I say? Barely I am leaving the house, which sounds weird in English, but that's how you can communicate. I'm about to. I'm about to. Okay. Another little side note here too, to say you're about to do something, you can use this structure. Like if I want to say I'm about to leave, or I'm about to get there, or let's say I'm about to arrive. You could say estoy por llegar. Estoy por llegar. Random point there. Let me not get into that now. I have another video talking about these unique structures. Let's go to the last two. The last one I've mentioned in a couple of Spanish videos before. The verb, no, it's not a verb, sorry. The word sappo. If you don't know what sappo means, it means frog. But in a lot of Spanish countries, Spanish-speaking countries, sappo, sorry for the pause there. I just thought about another definition, another meaning for sappo. But a sappo is a snitch, okay? Sappo, so again, sappo means frog literally, but it also means snitch. You can't look that up in a dictionary. The other thing sappo means, though, that came to me, that's why I paused a few seconds ago, is it means like chismoso or chismosa, which is like a gossiper, you know? And I guess inherently by gossiping, you're snitching sometimes. But yeah, sappo, which means frog, means snitch. And it also means chismoso, chismosa, which is like a gossiper, okay? And so again, that's something that you cannot learn from a dictionary, and I wouldn't even call that slang because that's something I've noticed Salvadorians say that, and Mexicans say that, Colombians say that, I've heard Venezuelans say that, so that's not something that's slang in one specific country. I've heard Hondurians say that as well, so yeah. The last one, and then we'll close this video out. Sorry, I heard a crazy noise, but the last one is a phrase, but the phrase is important to know because literally it doesn't make sense. The verb poner, you guys know, means to put. So if someone says poner los cuernos, or if someone says poner los cachos, cuernos, in a lot of Central America and Mexico and in other countries as well, cuernos are horns. Horns, okay? So cuernos, horns. In other countries like Colombia, I think in Venezuela as well, cachos are horns, okay? If someone says poner los cuernos or poner los cachos, it literally means to put the horns. But that is how you communicate in Spanish the concept of cheating on someone. So again, it's weird, but literally saying put the horns on someone means to cheat on them, like infidelity, cheating on your romantic partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. And so cuernos, cachos mean horns. Put the horns means cheating. Again, I'm not familiar with that being something that you can easily look up in a dictionary. Guys, that will be the last word phrase that I have in this video. I hope that this video was útil, useful. If it was, let me know in the comments below and I'll continue to do videos like this. If it wasn't, In the comments below, let me know. Mike, we want more conversation videos. Forget all this. Mike, we want you to go to Costa Rica. We don't want to see these type of videos. Let me know in the comments below. But I'm doing my best to make sure that these videos are useful and helpful for you guys. I have a lot of video ideas coming up this year, and yeah, hopefully, again, I'm always contradicting myself, and that's fine. I don't care. Like, I'm just being honest. I might be taking some trips this year as well, outside of the group trip that I discussed already. So even though I'm traveled out, there's some places that have sparked my interest again. And a hint is that one is related to my most recent video that I uploaded. Chicos, muchas gracias por ver este video. Espero que el video les haya gustado y que les haya servido. Estoy en la búsqueda siempre de contenido que les pueda brindar muchos beneficios y les pueda ayudar bastante. Entonces, espero que este video haya hecho esto y nos vemos en el próximo video. Chicos, hasta la próxima. Chao.